So what I really want to talk about is the semi-autonomous driving that you can do in the Volvo S90. Now, it's called pilot assist. It's not actually autonomous driving. It's more like an augmented lane assist keeping. And it does steer around corners, so we'll put it on here. So firstly you put on your cruise control, which is of course adaptive cruise control, so it measures the distance of the car in front of you and modifies your speed obviously up until the highest set speed that you have. So here I've got it set for 77, it's an 80 zone, so I'll set it for 80 and it'll sit behind this car and it will brake automatically for me already the way that it's set up. If you turn on pilot assist, it will actually sense the white lines on the road and try and keep you in that lane. And for the most part it's fairly good. It's not completely reliable where you can just turn it on and leave it. You should still pay attention because, as I said, it's not exactly an autonomous car, exactly, not by the true sense of the word. But when you're sitting on the highway, you can still have your pilot assist turned on and just let the vehicle run itself. And you still need to pay attention, obviously, but I find that when you have it engaged, you take a little bit of advantage. So for example, pilot assist is on at the moment, so I don't need to keep it in lanes. So what do I do with these things? The temptations there is to check your phone. Fortunately there's quite a lot of information on the giant touch screen here. You can control all your media and all that sort of thing, so you don't really need to get your phone out unless you want to check Facebook and all that sort of stuff. And to be honest, wait till you get home. That's kind of ridiculous. But what it does do is it can kind of train you. Actually, this person here's an old RAV4 and clearly they don't have lane keeping assistance because he just about ran into that truck. But what I was going to say is normal people in traditional cars learn to pay attention to every circumstance when you're on the road. So when I'm driving along, normally I'm checking my mirrors, I'm making sure I know where everybody is, so that if some peanut in front of me loses control or tries to run into the back of somebody else and I can't brake soon enough, I know where I can go and where all the other cars around me are. Now obviously I can't keep that up for 100% of the time, but that is part of what my brain is doing. It's measuring how far the car is in front of me, it's looking at the traffic in front of me, checking out the traffic behind me, seeing if I'm getting tailgated, and also just to keep a general eye on how other people on the road are behaving. So when I've got this when I've got this pilot assist on, there is definitely that temptation to just go, okay, I can do something else. But really the traffic up here is braking in front of me, and it has braked and turned for me without me having to actually do anything. However, there are certain, and I saw somebody use this term specifically, novel circumstances, so things that don't always happen. So take for example, at the moment I'm in roadworks and the road markings are reasonably good. They've got new lanes marked out to take in the consideration of the narrowing of this lane when they've got concrete barriers on and vice versa. However, anybody that's driven from the Melbourne airport to Melbourne in the last, 5,000 years knows that there are actually two sets of lanes actually drawn out at the moment, and one of them are white and one set of yellow. So I don't know how the pilot assist would actually be able to help with that sort of circumstance, even though it is quite a long drive where they've got those markings out at the moment. Quite a strange thing to have set up from a safety perspective actually, because it actually tells you that you've got to pay attention to the yellow lines today. Which kind of fortifies the whole point that I was getting to previously, where pilot assist enables you to pay less attention. In fact, you only need to pay attention when the novel circumstances approach, which means you need to actually pay more attention and analyse what sort of circumstances the car is looking at a certain point in time. So for example, I have to be aware when line markings change. I have to be aware that perhaps if I'm going around a right-hand turn on a highway and there's merging lane dotted lines that aren't necessarily close enough for this car to recognise that it's a merging lane, not an actual part of the highway, it may take me off on that merging lane. That's only happened a couple of times. But again, we're talking about novel circumstances. So ultimately, when you've got something like this particular setup in the Volvo S90, it is a nice addition and it does make driving quite relaxing and certainly easy. But there is the temptation there to take the path of least resistance and just let the car take over. At which point, when we encounter those novel circumstances, you're in a deep bit of shit. And as pilots always used to tell me, you should always aim 2 crashes high. So, augmented driving, assisted lane keeping, you still need to pay attention because the systems that we have at the moment aren't there to be able to let you